Greetings world, we are anonymous. Derek Bros, activist post. On Tuesday, Fox 5 in Washington, D.C., released a new report claiming that Democratic National Committee staffer Seth Rich was in contact with WikiLeaks prior to his murder in July 2016. The report claims a private investigator hired by Rich's family has found tangible evidence of a connection to Rich and WikiLeaks. According to D.C. police, Rich was shot twice in the back as part of a botched robbery in D.C.'s Bloomingdale neighborhood. Curiously, Rich's wallet, money, and an expensive watch were not taken during this robbery attempt. Only 12 days after Rich's death, WikiLeaks began releasing thousands of hacked emails from the DNC. The apparent hacker behind the leaks is a character known as Guccifer 2.0 who claimed to have accessed the emails via a vulnerability in DNC servers. However, after the damaging emails became public, the Deadstream media and Democratic power players denounced the leaks, calling them fake news, and accusing the Russian government of being involved in the hacks. Meanwhile, opponents of Hillary and supporters of WikiLeaks began speculating on the possibility of Rich's death being connected to the DNC leaks. Now there is more fuel to that fire as Fox 5 DC released an interview with private investigator Rod Wheeler, claiming that evidence on Rich's laptop that confirms he was communicating with WikiLeaks prior to his death. Fox 5 reports. Wheeler, a former DC police homicide detective, is running a parallel investigation into Rich's murder. He said he believes there is a cover-up and the police department has been told to back down from the investigation. The police department nor the FBI have been forthcoming, said Wheeler. They haven't been cooperating at all. I believe that the answer to solving his death lies on that computer, which I believe is either at the police department or either at the FBI. I have been told both. When we asked Wheeler if his sources have told him there is information that links Rich to WikiLeaks, he said, absolutely. Yeah. That's confirmed. Wheeler told Fox 5 that he has a source inside the police department who claims officers were told to stand down in regards to Seth Rich's murder. On Tuesday, a spokesman for the Rich family said Wheeler was not authorized to speak for them and said his claims were unsubstantiated. We are a family who is committed to facts, not fake evidence that surfaces every few months to fill the void and distract law enforcement and the general public from finding Seth's murderers. The services of the private investigator who spoke to press was offered to the Rich family and paid for by a third party, and contractually was barred from speaking to press or anyone outside of law enforcement or the family unless explicitly authorized by the family. However, spokesman Brad Bauman noted that even if emails do surface, it does not necessarily mean Seth Rich worked with WikiLeaks. Even if tomorrow an email was found, it is not a high enough bar of evidence to prove any interactions, as emails can be altered and we've seen that those interested in pushing conspiracies will stop at nothing to do so, Bauman said. We are a family who is committed to facts, not fake evidence that surfaces every few months to fill the void and distract law enforcement and the general public from finding Seth's murderers. Let's pause for a moment and look at two important pieces of information. First, the family spokesman is actually a professional Democrat crisis PR consultant with the Pastorum Group, a recently formed consulting firm. To say that Bauman might have a bias when speaking for the Rich family is putting it mildly. Bauman specifically works in crisis management for the Democratic Party, and the DNC leaks have by far been the most disastrous scandal to hit the party in the post-9/11 era. Is it that difficult to imagine the Democrats placing one of their crisis management experts in front of the Rich family? If so, Bauman could act as a barrier to prevent the family from looking further into what they have so far called baseless conspiracy theories. The second point of note is that Rod Wheeler, the private investigator interviewed by Fox 5, has a history of appearing on Fox News as an expert in a variety of fields. One interview he conducted with Bill O'Reilly centered around an alleged rise in lesbian gangs attacking people. As the Southern Poverty Law Center writes, note, I can't stand the SLPC for their propaganda mongering as much as the next freethinker, but facts are facts. Confronted by the intelligence report, Wheeler was unable, in several phone and email exchanges over a 2-day period, to specify a single law enforcement agency or officer, police report, media account or any other source he relied upon for his D.C. area lesbian gang's claim. But he insisted that his report was accurate and that any law enforcement officer who disagrees is out of touch. For some reason or other, these organizations don't lay it on the line because they don't know what is going on the streets, said Wheeler. This is a serious crisis and the so-called experts are missing it. I mention this fact because it relates to Wheeler's credibility. It's up to each individual to decide whether they will accept the claims made by him. Thankfully, researchers of Seth Rich's murder do not have to rely on Wheeler's words alone. Fox News also reports that a federal source has confirmed that Seth Rich did indeed make contact with WikiLeaks through now-deceased director Gavin McFadden. The federal source claims to have seen a copy of a forensic report of Rich's computer which was issued by the Federal Bureau of Investigations, FBI, within 96 hours of his death. I have seen and read the emails between Seth Rich and WikiLeaks, the federal investigator told Fox News. The source claims the FBI has the emails. According to this source, 44,053 emails and 17,761 attachments between Democratic National Committee leaders, dated between January 2015 to May 2016, were sent from Rich to McFadden before May 21. Fox News has not been the only source of speculation as to whether or not Seth Rich was involved in the DNC leaks. WikiLeaks has issued a reward of $20,000 for information leading to conviction for the murder of DNC staffer Seth Rich. Even Julian Assange, founder of WikiLeaks, seemed to hint at Rich's connection to the leaks. During an August 2016 interview with Dutch TV program Nieuwsuur, Assange made an unusual comment that led some to ask what he knows. Our whistleblowers go to significant efforts to give us material, at often very significant risks, Assange said. There was a 27-year-old, works for the DNC, who was shot in the back, murdered just a few weeks ago for unknown reasons other than that he was walking down the street in Washington. That was just a robbery, I believe, wasn't it? The interviewer responds. Assange tells him there has been no finding before he asks, "What are you suggesting?" Assange does not elaborate other than to say that WikiLeaks sources put themselves at grave risk to share documents with them. We don't comment on who our sources are. We have to understand how high the stakes are in the United States. Our sources are, our sources face serious risks. That's why they come to us, so we can protect their anonymity. Others have suggested that Rich was murdered. We are investigating. If you understand what happened in that situation with Seth Rich, I think it is a concerning situation. There's not a conclusion yet. We wouldn't be willing to state a conclusion, but we are concerned about it. More importantly, a variety of WikiLeaks sources are concerned when that kind of thing happens. The final piece of this elaborate puzzle relates to Twitter chat logs that are purported to have taken place between the infamous Guccifer 2.0 and Robin Young, a former Playboy model and actress. In these direct messages Young and Guccifer converse about the origin of the DNC leaks. Readers should note that these messages have not been independently verified, but they can be viewed in their entirety on Young's website. As Zero Hedge notes. When Young suggested trusting Julian Assange, Guccifer 2.0 called him unsafe and that he may be connected with Russians despite being his hero. I'd like to find a journalist who can do an investigation and heal, the real story of his life and death, he said, and revealed that the whistleblower he was referring to was none other than a person named Seth. It is important to recognize that Fox's report stems from anonymous federal sources and that Wheeler's credibility may be in question. However, we should also reflect on the connection between the Democratic Party and the Rich family's spokesman. Also, when doing a search of Seth Rich WikiLeaks one finds an abundance of left-wing media outlets brushing the story off as a distraction from the latest reports that Trump has shared classified information with Russian officials. On the other end of the spectrum, you find right-wing outlets defending Trump and claiming the real story is Seth Rich. Both stories involve the use of anonymous sources and that is a huge problem in the American media landscape. Is the timing of the release of these two stories related? Is one meant to distract from the other, or are these two independently important stories that deserve your attention? I will leave it to the reader to decide. For now, I believe there is a fair amount of anonymous reports indicating Seth Rich's involvement with WikiLeaks. If any hackers out there, or WikiLeaks themselves, are in possession of evidence that could implicate the Democratic Party, or individuals connected to the party, in the murder of Seth Rich, now is the time to release it to the public. We are anonymous. We are legion. We do not forgive. We do not forget. Expect us.